In the last couple of videos, what I did was I set up the Redux within our admin category modal. But this time we're going to start working on the admin product modal and set up the Redux in there. But before I get started, there's actually a few things that I have to correct. The first two lines here. So the first one is set category and handle submit. So going back to the admin category modal, over here in the handle category submit, when we start making a HTTP request, at the very end after the dispatching of the create category, I want to clear up the input. So like right here, the field over here, that once a category is created, we want this field to be empty again. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. So I have to do, let's see, for the use state, what I did here was, okay, it's going to be called set category. So over here, I'm going to do set category and then back to an empty string. All right, that's it for that. All right, so let me mark this one off. And then there's another one here that I found a typo, and that's let's see, in the constants for the category. Let me go into the Redux and constants. So category, there's this typo over here. See over here, this constants create category, and then I labeled this get category when in fact it should be create category. All right, and that's it. That's only that's all I have here as far as some few errors I had. All right, so now so as I mentioned, I'm going to create the start adding the Redux into the admin product modal. I'm going to start off with create an action function. Let me close this up here. An action function for a product. So inside these actions, I'm going to create a new file called product actions.js. Okay, and this one is gonna be let's see, it's gonna be export const, and we're gonna call it create product, and this is gonna take in the form data, and we're gonna do a dispatch, or actually let's start off with async because it's gonna be asynchronous, and then dispatch, just like this. And we already have a create product function that we used with Axios, and that was inside. If we go into the API product.js, that's this right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy this here. All right, and then within a try catch block, see, error. Yeah, I'm gonna set this right inside here. We're gonna have to import Axios, from Axios, and we're gonna have to import some constants here to fire off. Okay, so the first one, let's start with the loading. Import from, we gotta go back one directory, go into constants, and then loading constants. Start loading, and then stop loading. And I'm gonna save this here. But as a matter of fact, what I'm gonna do is let me get my category actions from the previous video, and I'm gonna copy some of this stuff here. I'm gonna copy this here. Go into the product actions, because we're going to need these constants, show error message and show success message. And yes, that should be it. Okay. If anything, we'll go back. All right, so let's see. All right, so within try catch block, before we start making our Axios request, this is going to be creating a product. So it's also going to be a post request, and it's going to be to the API product. And then here, there's going to be form form data, right? Because that's this argument right here that we're passing. And right before we're gonna dispatch, we're gonna do a type of start loading. I'm gonna copy this here and paste it right below and call this stop loading. So once the server returns a response back to us, we want to stop the loading phase. And then right over here, continuing with the within the try block, I'm gonna do another dispatch, but this is gonna be for this will be a success message. Show success message, and then the payload is gonna be the response data and then success message. Okay, let's see. Just a reminder, this property here, success message. Let's see, when we're creating a product, let's go to the controller, to the back end, the controller. Let's see, for the creation of a product. Okay, that's over here, and we're returning as a response the success message and a product. We're really not gonna make use of this product, but so it doesn't really matter, but yeah, we're just going to be making use of the success message. So anyways, I wanted to show you that that's what we're making use of over here. That's what we're returning back from the server. All right, so there's that, and then here we're going to delete this, and then that's it for that. And then for the error, we're going to do console. Let me go back to the category actions. Let me copy all this here and paste that right inside here, and do get or create product API error. And then we're going to stop the loading and show error message, and then the payload is going to be error response data error message. Okay, and that is it for our action function. All right, so let's mark this off. So the next thing is we're going to go into our admin product modal. All right, that's right over here. And as you can see, that we still are making making use of the component state properties. So we have to start bringing in, pretty much swapping out these properties for our Redux state properties and making use of our Redux actions. All right, so let's start off by, all right, so let me make a note here called Redux, and we're gonna start off with we're gonna import from React Redux, and we're gonna import the use selector and the use dispatch. Again, use selector allows us to pull state properties from Redux, and use dispatch allows us to fire off actions from Redux. All right, so let's import our action functions that we're going to be calling here. Let me mark this off here. Actually, what's this? Close this window here. All right, going back to the admin product modal. Okay, let me copy this comment here, and right above it, I'm gonna paste it and call this Redux global state properties. And then within here, I'm gonna use pull out a few properties from our state with useSelector, and again the argument we get past the state, and we're gonna do state dot categories, or let me do state dot loading first, and then we get loading the loading prop from there. I'm gonna copy this here, paste this two other times. And for the next one, we want the state for messages. for messages, and we want from the messages, you want a success message and error message. And for the final one, we want our categories. We want our categories and pull out categories. Okay, just like this. All right, categories, parsing error, identifier categories has already been declared. All right, so again, that's referring to this error. We're getting an error from here because we also have categories here, which we made from previous videos, but it's part of the component state properties. But now that we're using Redux and we have categories, we can go ahead and delete this here. So if we save that, we should get it. Yeah, again, as I mentioned, we see for this error message again, we're going to delete this because again, we're making use of the error message from our Redux, and we're going to delete the success message from the component state level, and also the loading from the component state level. Otherwise, the same error that we saw for the previous one would be pretty much similar, showing the same thing. Okay, so now let's see. All right, set categories is not defined. Okay, set categories. All right, so let me do a few things here. Okay, so we have categories. We put out all the state props that we're gonna need here, and we don't need this use effect anymore, which is part of the lifecycle methods, because we're getting categories directly from Redux. So what we can do is delete this whole thing right over here. Let me save that. All right, and for this handle messages, set error message, we deleted those. What we're gonna do is we're gonna make use of, did I bring in already clear message? Okay, let me bring in our action functions, but let me go ahead and mark this thing off. Use selector, messages, loading, categories. Okay, we completed that. And then we're going to use dispatch to pull out our action functions. It's going to be two that we're going to make use of: create product and clear messages. All right, so the way we're going to do this is we're going to import from the first one is going to be what was the messages, right? So we got to go back one directory, we got to go to Redux, and then actions, and then message actions, and we want the clear messages. All right, I'm going to copy this here, and the next line paste, and the action that I want for this next one was what was create, oh yeah, it was for the product, from the product actions. And what I want from here is create product. All right, so now that we imported the two action functions we're going to make use of. Okay, so we're getting okay, parsing error, identifier create product has already been declared. Okay, again, this is because we just imported our create product from the Redux, from our Redux action, but we have a duplicate because over here the create product from the API product, from the API folder that we had made use of in the previous videos. So if we delete that, now we're only making use of one create product function, and that's from our Redux. All right, so that should go away. All right, so next thing is we need to import right over here. I'm gonna bring in our dispatch. So I'm gonna assign a variable called dispatch and do use dispatch, just like this. Now we can use dispatch. Okay, now what? All right, so now okay, for our handle messages. Okay, so we're gonna call clear messages. Oh, but we got to dispatch it first. We got to call dispatch anytime we're dispatching an action function from Redux. Otherwise, you'll get an error. All right, let's see. All right, set error message. Set error message. Set error message. Error message. Set error message. All right, I'm gonna create another component state property over here, and I'm gonna call this client side error, and do set client side error and initialize as an empty string. And let's see over here. No, wait. Yeah, I'm gonna rename over here in the handle product submit. We have the set error message that we used previously. Well, these are all our client side validation errors. So I'm gonna rename this set client side error. Copy this here and paste, rename the other ones as well. So anywhere you see set error message, paste in the set client side error message. And let's see, over here in the renderer, in the return area, I'm going to copy this here and right above it, paste, and I'm going to call this will be for the displaying of our client side error. The other one below it is for for the messages that are coming from our backend. Okay, so this one here will be for client side error. If client side error, if there is a client side error, then show error message and then client side error. All right, so we have to display two errors for two separate places. The first one is for our client side, and then the second one again is from the backend. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that. Show error message. Set error message 68. All right, there we go. Set loading. All right, so 89. So the next thing. All right, so now let's replace this here inside our handle product submit. In the else section, when everything when there's no client side validation, we arrive to this else block, which we start setting up our form data, and we can delete this set loading, and we have this create product, which was part of our API function, but again we're making use of our create product from Redux, so we can go ahead and I'm going to save this set product data, because this portion here is for resetting the data, the product data on the for a component to empty strings. So let me just set it here to this. I'm just going to save that, and then I'm going to delete everything just like this, and then paste that right after our create product. All right, so if we do this here again, because this is the Redux function now, action function, we have to do a dispatch on it just like this, and then wrap it with parentheses. Great. So now all those errors went away. We just have some warnings here that we have use effect being defined but never used, and get categories being defined but never used. All right, so that's over here. So to get categories we don't need, because again, we're pulling the categories over here from Redux. So go ahead and delete that. And the second warning is use effect. We're not making use of that lifecycle method. And if I save that, there we go. All right, so everything's so there we go. So now this is working. Let's go ahead and make sure. I'm gonna open up my Google console here, my DevTools, open a Redux. Oh, let me do like this. All right, so let's just make sure this works here. So let's create a category. Let's do pastas. Oh, but before we go there, I want to show you, let's make sure. So currently right now, this is the database right now, and then here's categories. So I'm going to refresh this here and check what we currently have in our database for categories. All right, loading documents. All right, here we go. So we got a total of 2 documents, or 2 categories. We got for wine and beer. So let's go back to our application and create a new category for pastas. And if I submit, pastas created. And remember, in the beginning of the video, we set the category, set this input field to clear it up. And as you see, it's cleared up, so that worked. All right, so pastas was created. Great. And we can verify that if we go to this add food now, and for the field over here for category, we should see pastas. Oh, there we go. All right, let's refresh this here. There we go. Let's do that one more time. All right, so let's do pizza. Create a category for pizza. Submit. Pizza was created. Close this modal. Go to add food. There we go. And dynamically, we see pizza is added with the rest of the categories, pastas and pizza as well. Great. And let's confirm that by going to the to our database. I'm gonna, yeah, go ahead. This might take some time. So let's go. Oh, that's quick. All right, good. So we got the wine, beer, pastas, and pizza. Great. So we also have our categories in, placed within our database. Great. Great. All right, great. So now let's go ahead. That was for the category. Let's go test our product. That the creation of a new product is still working, but this time with using Redux, right? Because we've done this before in the previous video, but it was just without Redux. So let's go ahead. Actually, I'm not going to add an image yet because I want to test that the client-side validation is working. If I submit, please select an image. Great. Here, I'm going to add the image. Oh, and this isn't clear up. All right. All right, so we need that to clear up. I know what the issue is. Okay, so for the handle messages, okay, in addition to the clear messages, this was for messages pertaining to our backend messages. If there, we also below it, we want to call this component state property for use state set client side error and set it back to an empty string. All right, just like this. So now we have, this should work. So I'm going to save this. Now if I go back here, all right, we don't have an, let me close this up, open it up. So I don't have an image. If I submit, all right, we have select image. Now if I try to browse again to resolve the issue, you saw the message just went away, that error message. All right, so that's working. All right, so we're gonna get an image here. The name, let's do fettuccine pasta, fettuccine, just fettuccine, and then Italian taste. All right, price $12. Categories. Oh, let me redo this again. All right, there we go. Browse. Fettuccine, Italian pasta, Italian taste, price, whatever, $1. And then category, it's part of the pastas category. Quantity, this be 900. Submit. Fettuccine was created, and you see all of our fields are cleared as well here. And then there you go. And then that message went away once we click out the modal. But let's go ahead and finally just check our check the database and confirm that we got fettuccine in it. So we have Heineken, Miller Lite. That's just from some previous tests that I did before. And then we have our fettuccine. So we have a total of 3 products. All right. And we have our fettuccine product, which was created. All right, so now we have our categories, our category modal and our product modal making use of Redux, and they're both functional, and we tested and verified that these are arriving and being stored into the database. All right, so there you go. I will see you in the next video.